Hello. In this session, I'll be demonstrating a program using C language, which will implement interprocess communication using fork. Now, what we'll be doing is we'll be creating two child processes, and the responsibility of child process is to read the lines from the file concurrently. Now, both the children would be taking into consideration a file, let us say this. The file contains some text elements like written like this. Now the two child processes that we'll be creating, one of the child process would be reading odd number lines and the other would be reading even numbered lines. And parent process will wait for both children to finish. Okay, so with this assumption, like we'll try to print one by one these lines along with the process ID so as to know what exactly is happening. So let us start writing the code. Now, initially, I'll be implementing it as a shared file. Okay, as an demonstration perspective. So let us add the standard header files, include stdio.h, hash include stdlib.h, which is like a kind of standard for us, hash include unistd.h, hash include sys slash types.h. Okay, this would be for PID underscore T structure. We added unistd for fork and get PID function, which would be using stdlib for exit function. And as we are going to make use of some file handling functions, so that's why I'm using stdio.h. Further, like apart from these files, we will require file control operations. Okay, so that's why we will include fcntl.h file control header file. And like we will be working with strings. So you may include or you may neglect inclusion of this file, but let me add it here. But you can take a call whether you want that file to be added there or not. This is optional one. Fine. So these header files would be added by us so as to like work out with respect to file handling, process creation, and other system calls. Now, what we'll do is like we will be using a file, correct? So we have to now define the file name. So let me write hash define file name as like we have already created this file, so which I showed before a while to you, say gulam.txt. Fine, this is added by us. Now we'll assume that like each that file would be having a set of lines. So let us say that the maximum length of a line. So we'll define max length of line to be say, let us say 80. Okay. Now we will start first of all writing main function where we'll be creating two PIDs and then we'll work out with other functions as and when needed. So let us write main. So we will, as we said that we would be requiring two processes or two child processes. So we have to create PID1 and PID2. Now these PIDs would be responsible to hold the process IDs of children. So let us create the first child. So we'll say PID1 is equal to fork, we'll give call here. Okay, or like we can write it prior, PID1 is equal to fork. Fine. Now let us check if PID1 is equal to 0. That means it would be a child process. So we'll use a function, like we'll give a call here to a function which is supposed to read odd lines. So we'll assume that there would be a function. Say, for example, we'll not give it some name. We'll have a function, okay, which will have an integer parameter. So we'll use something like we'll say like if 0 is there, then it is even, and if 1 is there, that means odd. So we'll pass 1 or 0. So this would be meant for odd lines. Fine. So say this is our, we are going to write some function name here. After we write the function call, function definition, we'll write it. And then we have this added. Correct. Now, like this would be assumption here. Our assumption is what? So if it is a child process, then in child process, it should read odd lines. Okay. Similarly, we'll now fire PID2 again with the fork call. Now in child process, we'll write the similar code. And now, what are the function that would be writing there above, like for reading the lines? Okay. Here, this will be supposed to make use of even lines with PID2. That means second child. Now, as we are working with two childrens, correct? So we have to write here wait 2 times because it should wait for two childrens. So we have to add semicolon. We'll add semicolon there. So both files are added, and then we'll write one printf from parent, okay, saying that parent process with ID %d completed reading the file. Okay, and then we'll use get PID here. Right? So this is our main function. So we'll write return 0. So let us understand one more time what we exactly wrote. So as per the problem statement, we are going to make create two childrens. First child is supposed to read the file and should print only odd lines, odd numbered lines. And second child should print all even numbered lines. So we will assume that okay, line numbers are given as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is our assumption. While we start reading, we'll go with it. Fine. So we will write the function now. Okay, this is for main. So main, then we created two childrens, and in child process, we are executing the code for reading purpose. Fine. Now let us try this just gcc-c IPC using file. So let us see like it is working. Now we haven't written any code there. So we have to add now code responsible for this printing odd lines and even lines. So let us write that. So I will add that over here. So let us say like as we are going to make use of that as a file. Okay, as a data like file as a shared one. Correct. So right now I'm not really caring about like how exactly this would be done. But right now what we'll do is just we'll try to use that file. We'll open that file from both the different things. Correct. So let us write void my read int say. So we are defining variable odd is odd. Okay, this is a parameter that will be passing. So either this would be 1 or 0. So we'll use appropriately that way with assumption that this is our integer variable. Now we have to open that file. Okay, so let us first describe the descriptor. File star fp is equal to fopen file name, and we'll use this file name like a file name that we have defined, and we'll open that file into read mode. Fine. Now you can definitely prepare put the message with p error and exit, like which I am not adding for a while here. If that file doesn't exist, like I mean to say, if that file is not available, then it should give an error opening file. You can add that further. Okay. Now let us we have to declare one uh, s- character array which will read that line, and we'll assume that length of that line would be 80, what we defined above. Correct. So let us declare one variable, okay, which will hold the line. Okay, so let us write my line, and this my line will be having size as max length of line. Now we have to start reading the what you can call it as the contents. Correct. Now here, if we see what we wrote here is like the file name which we want to read. We have defined maximum line length. Okay, and in the main code, what we wrote was we created two process IDs, PID1, PID2. We are forking the process. That means creating a child process. Okay, and with the assumption that child is created, we are calling or we are writing a function which would be responsible to read the appropriate lines. So let us write this function now further. So we have a character. So let us say by default we will have line number as 1, because we know line number, it will be starting with line number 1. Number is equal to 1. This is a local variable that I am creating. Now we have to start reading the file. So while, so I will use fgetS. Fine. What we have to read? We have to read the line. Okay, in a variable called myline, which we created above. Correct. So let us say myline size of it, like when you are reading, when you are using fgetS function, ultimately second parameter would be what you have to specify: size of myline. Okay, and the descriptor like fp, which you are reading from. So this is a call given by us fgetS. Now we'll start reading this. Like when it reaches to the end, then it will terminate it. So if it doesn't find anything, if line is empty, then it will terminate automatically. So let us see this now. Now, what we'll do is we'll start reading line 1. So as we stated that line number is 1, initial value of line number is 1. So we'll check. Like we will keep incrementing it once line number 1 is printed. So we'll use here line number. Line number, and then we'll take a mod of it, that so as to get the remainder. So if it is 1, okay, and the variable that we passed, as I stated that the variable that would be passing here to the function, this will have value as 1 or 0. 1 means odd, 0 to be even. Correct. So now we'll use combinedly two conditions. So we'll use this is odd variable. What are the value that we are passing? Is odd. Okay. Or either this would be there or the line would be 0. This is 0. and this would be negation of it. Correct, because we want either 1 or 0. That's why negation. So we have taken indirectly a Boolean variable. So now you may see here what we added here. We are trying to check whether if line number is 1 or this. Now it should go accordingly, like whatever the line number that it gets, depending upon it should work out. So let us add here code below. We'll write say sleep for a while so as to get the data so that we can check whether the two children are created or not. Printf process ID will print. Okay. And a line that it wants, it is reading. So line number. So we'll use %d and the exact line %s. Now what we are passing here, we want get PID. Okay, function call. Further, we want the line number. Line underscore number and the line that we want to print. So my line. Okay, now once it is done, then what is to be done appropriately? Now you will see like if this holds, suppose this condition holds, correct, then line number would be passed here, whatever the line number value is, and that appropriate line would be read. And if it doesn't hold, then the other part would be executed. So either is odd or it is not odd. Now we'll close that file, close FP using close, but we have to first increment that line number because we haven't incremented it. So line number plus plus. So after one iteration, like it will go to line number 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and so on till it reaches to the end. Now this would be your while state, while. Now then F close, FP, and once it is done, we will exit from the code. Correct. Now we have to give call to this function here. Correct, inside main. So we'll pass here what? As we want that odd and even, so that's why we will use the function name. So the function name that we gave was myRead. So let us add that myRead. I hope I have given capital yes, myRead. And then we'll pass here like we want odd number. That's why we'll pass here 1 because we want odd. Correct. Similarly, here we'll write because we want even. So as stated, this would be like if 1 is there, then we will assume that it is odd, and if 0, then it will assume it is even. Okay. Now I hope we are done with this. Let us try to compile this code, and if there are errors, we will work out. GCC-M32 IPC using file.c. Okay, so yeah, I made a mistake probably in the spelling. Let us check it. IPC using file.c. LENGTH. LENGTH. Yes. I hope it is okay now. Okay, good. So let us execute. Now let us see. Now you will see that like if I try writing here ps-ejh, see the process IDs. These are our processes. So this is 25530 is a parent process. Okay. 31 and 32 are child processes. Now this is reading the properly, like if we say 31 would be reading odd lines. Let us check. 31 printed odd line, 31 printed odd line, 31 printed odd line, again 7, then 9, then 11, then 13. Yes, and but if you see the way that we added the file exactly, let us open that file. Let's, if you see, my first line was this, correct? So it started saying that it printed actually second line because it gave chance to the second process first, second child first. This may be because of, say, scheduling that is happening internally. So actually our goal was to print this line by line, correct? Now, even if line by line I mean to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. So if I try again executing this from the other terminal, let us see like how exactly the difference of the output is. Definitely PIDs would be different, but let us see now the order. Now it is getting 7, 8. Now 10, 9. Again sequence broken. 11, 12. Till 7 or till 8 rather, everything was fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then after 10, again to whom the chance be given. This again changed. If I start again one more time. So one can say here, it is not working in a synchronized way. That means the kind of data structure that we are sharing here between two different processes. Okay, right now, if you see in this thing, it actually gave us synchronized, but it is not really sure every time. We are not sure every time that we'll be getting it in a same order of the way that it is given. It can change, it may not change. Like in this case, we are getting it similarly again 9, 10. Now 12, 11. Again, it changed the order. Okay, it hasn't got the original order. Okay, and that's why now what would be solution if we want to solve this problem? We have to use pipes now. Okay, which will at least synchronize this. So this in the next video we'll see that we'll try to make use of pipe to solve this problem so that we can get it in a synchronized way. So let me open again the code so that I can again let you know what exactly we are doing here. So we started by including these header files. We added an input file, correct? Then further, what we did was we defined line length of line as 80 characters. Then rather we added a main function. In main function, we created two PIDs, PID1 and PID2. PID1 would be first child, which is supposed to print odd lines, odd number lines from the file, and PID2, child number 2, is supposed to read even numbered lines. And then like as we want the parent to wait for children or children to finish the execution, that's why we gave call to wait function. Okay, and then simply we printed the parent ID and saying that now I am done with the work. My children's process the file, so let me finish. So then it terminates by adding return 0. Now in the read function that would be applied in every process, I mean to say those two child processes. We are passing an integer as I stated. If it is 1, then it is odd. If it is 0, then it is even. So we are saying we are opening that file in read mode. What are the variable that we gave above with the macro? Then we defined one variable array, like string variable called myLine, whose length would be 80 characters. This is our assumption. And we are starting with line number 1. Now we used fgetS function where we are putting where exactly the file line should be read. So my line, then size of it, and then the file pointer or file descriptor. And then we wrote the code verifying whether the remainder when you divide line number by 2, if remainder is 1, and it is 1, is odd value is 1, that means it should read odd lines. Okay, when line number divided by 2, or when you take remainder of it, if it is 0, and if we are getting is odd value to be 0, then ultimately we would be printing even numbered line. And we printed the process ID, we printed the line number, and we printed the exact line. And that's how we wrote the code. And after every iteration, we are incrementing that line number. And once it is done, we added sleep to just to see like whether the program is working fine or not. Fine. And like towards end, when file reading is completed, then we are closing that file, and then exit function call is given. That's how the code works.